Hello everyone. We are here today with a new episode of our podcast format Money Talks with Bestin. Together with our CEO Stefan Becker, I'm happy to welcome our guest, Mr. Remko Rijnders from Ceconomy. As many of you may know, Ceconomy is the holding of the well-known brand MediaMarktSaturn. And today we want to talk about the company, the group, and how it evolved over time. Maybe, Remko, if you can give us a short intro from your side so we can kick off the podcast.
Yeah, of course, Doris. First of all, thanks for having me. It's really a pleasure. So, a short introduction. So a short introduction of, I think, already a quite long-lasting career in retail. I started my journey studying business economics, and I always was thinking, so what would I like to do in the future? I was actually not that clear. But then after many debates, first I wanted to work for a bank and etc. There's some traineeships over there, and then I actually found out it was at that time not fast enough for me, or actually I didn't have the feeling at that time that what I'm doing one day I see the result, the next day it was most of the time a little bit longer, and then I was actually considering for a long time what shall I do, and then I came up with the idea maybe retail is not too bad because everybody working in retail can make a change every single day. So I was talking to many companies at that time, also people that I knew working for these companies. And then I actually did my first job interview. I remembered of the day of yesterday with Aldi, which is of course one of the best examples of changing the day every day, right? So also when you do something bad, you see it the next day, or good, see it the next day. So that I had a really good feeling in my interviews that I did with them. Unfortunately, I was just in a relationship with my still today my wife, and she didn't want to move to Omme. I'm Dutch, but Netherlands is quite small. But I was living in the Amsterdam, so she didn't want to move to Omme. It was a bit too far away. And then I remember when I called Aldi at that time, they said to me, Mr. Rijnders, if you can't move to the DC that we have in Omme, then unfortunately this role is not for you. But anyway, I was so excited. And then in the end, I found at that time another company what was also entering the Netherlands, and it was Lidl, which to my understanding was quite close to Aldi, with the same philosophy, with the same culture to my understanding. In the end, I also understood it's a bit different. But anyway, I started then working for Lidl, and actually that happened then, working in retail, first in a store as store manager. So they called it a traineeship, but it was really hands-on, something that I was looking into, working with a team, changing every day, let's say, for the best for our customers, doing the best things. And there were, of course, that also something to do with numbers, which I really liked. And I did that for a period. And then afterwards, it was a time that A.S. Watson's, at that time still in the Netherlands at least, known by Kruidvat and Trekpleister, was quite a family-orientated company. But A.S. Watson was moving it a bit more to result-driven company with clear accountabilities and results and transparency. And they hired quite some people from Lidl, because in Lidl you are really learning very fast coming from a university. And getting the job done, first acquaintance with retail. And then after some conversations with them, I started working for them for a couple of years, 3.5 years. A.S. Watson, responsible first for a region outside of Amsterdam in sales, and then later as a regional director in Amsterdam and the bigger part of Amsterdam, which was really exciting, working with people and getting basically that transformation of a family-oriented company more to let's call it a more result-driven company. And also there I learned a lot, especially from a culture perspective, because Lidl was quite focused on results, but also short-term results, at the same time working in an environment with what was at that time dominated by a lot of men, also as store managers, and Kruidvat is health and beauty, or A.S. Watson, and it was dominated by all the store managers were almost women at that time. So that was quite a journey for me, a learning curve, and I did that for a couple of years. Nevertheless, after I would say 3.5, 4 years doing that job in multiple regions, I still thought I missed something in my retail career, and mainly the marketing, the catman, the buying part, because I was really responsible for the sales part. And I was not searching in that time, but I was contacting some of my colleagues that I knew they were before working for MediaMarkt. MediaMarkt just entered the Dutch market as well. And they were actually both fired from the company, MediaMarkt. They were store directors there. But both of them were still extremely positive about the company. So that for me was a bit strange. But nevertheless, talking to them, I found out this is a company really where you can make your own decisions. It was very decentral as a store manager, where you could get part of the shares, you could hire your own team, you could get acquainted with marketing, catman, but you also could decide where you're not that good at, you hire the best people for your company. So at that time, a headhunter company called me in the name of Kienbaum. Basically, we still work with them, by the way. And then they hired me more than 17 years ago already. And then I started working for MediaMarkt, first in a store.
Thank you so far. Maybe talking about MediaMarkt and the stores, how do you see the business right now? Maybe you can say a few words how the online business is working for you at Ceconomy, MediaMarktSaturn.
Yeah, for sure. So what I said, I started my career in MediaMarkt working in a store. At that time, online was not that present. I started in the Netherlands, and I did many roles in many different countries. I worked in China, I worked in Turkey in the board, I worked in Germany, I worked in the Benelux. So many different countries. But throughout this, let's say, throughout my career, you're absolutely right. The online presence became more and more dominant, right? So going back to the decentralized structure, so where we had a lot of freedom in designing our assortment on store level, or even deciding on the prices due to online. Basically, everything became transparent. And at that time, we always said as MediaMarkt, we were a bit of the supermarket model in Europe for electronics. We said we have the widest assortments for the best prices. But the widest assortment is something hard to have in a store when you have online, because of course the assortments are even wider. So that unique proposition, actually, we became a bit under pressure from that perspective, right? And also on the pricing side, assortment side, we could not allow ourselves anymore to have different assortment, different prices between online and between different stores. So then we went to a full transition, and that full transition was really based on a customer focus, understanding that the majority of the customers are searching online. Now, a bit fast forward where we stand today, 80% of our customers start their customer journey online. And before that, that was, of course, the stores. At the moment, knowing that we still do round about 70% of our sales we do offline, and round about 30% we do online. But in the end, in our omni-channel setup, as we speak today, we don't care that much where our customers are buying, in which channel. We have marketplace, we have B2B, we have online, we have offline. For us, it's more important that we follow the customer journey. So knowing they start 80%, they start online, and then they buy in the end in the store, 70% of the time in our case, is actually something that we value a lot, because a lot of customers, and that's what we see in their journey, want to understand the products, want to do research online, but want to have that human touch, that experience and trust in that online journey or omni-channel journey is extremely important for the customers. And of course, we got a hiccup during COVID. And of course, also we were quite sensitive about what will happen now, because it accelerated many things online. Also, our turnover went 300% online. So we always thought, are the customers coming back to offline or to an omni-channel environment? And what we have seen in the recent years, the answer to that is a big yes. So a lot of customers want to have that trust, want to have the experience, want to basically have a reverse logistics or return possibility or service and solutions in the store. So I think that was a step up that we made at that time, that realization how the customers behave and basically where they want to buy or where they want to see the trust. A good example for us is always when we open a store, and we have different store concepts, but if we open a store in a region where we are not present, not only we do better store sales, logically, because we open a store, but also our online sales in that region goes times 1.5. So that means that when you have the trust of a store in combination with online, giving that capabilities to our customers is actually the best facilitator, accelerator actually of our sales and our customer guidance that we have.
So you basically navigate your strategy parallel online and offline to make it work, I guess.
Many of the retailers, not only in consumer electronics, went through that journey. But that journey is not enough, right? So you still need to create a certain proposition and step away from traditional retail, how we know it. And that transformation we went through quite successfully already. We are not fully finalized. Our strategy is very clear. I will come back to that. But it's extremely important for us to really understand which channel or sales channel plays which role in that customer journey, right? And the traditional retail of selling, let's say, products is not going to work anymore in this day and age. It's not what the customers expect. They expect much more. They expect experience in a store. They expect experience also online, and a seamless integration of, let's say, all your sales channels. So that is the second transition that we went through. So we really realized that we need to make sure that we create experience in the stores, but also making sure that the customers that want to buy online and want to pick it up or return it in the store, that's possible. So almost 45% of the products that are bought online are being picked up in the store. But also our last mile delivery became more and more important. So for example, in Germany, we have 90 minutes delivery, right, with Uber. So if you sell online and you have a 90 minutes already delivered to your house, this convenience, I think that is really an accelerator for us as well. That was the second phase. And if I would fast forward right now, where we're in right now is the third phase, is where we said, yeah, basically we don't see ourselves anymore only as a omni-channel seller of consumer electronics. We have defined a platform business. And what we mean with it, of course, using all the sales channels, B2B, marketplace, offline and online, but also making sure that we use that platform for our growth areas. And these growth areas basically are related to consumer electronics, but they are not really products. So I'm talking about our growth areas, service and solutions, for example, space as a service, which is extremely important for us. I can explain it in a later phase. Marketplace, I already mentioned, retail media, private labels is extremely important for us. And these 5 growth areas now already make 1/3 of our profit. So 1/3 of our profit, or basically total income as we call it, or gross profit, is coming out of these 5 growth areas. Yes, we have the traditional business of selling a TV or an accessory for sure, but we use the traffic on our platforms to do the other 5 areas. So service and solutions, quite successfully, extremely successful for us right now, space as a service, retail media, marketplace, and private label. And these are really our income drivers in that seamless, let's say, integration in our omni-channel journey for our customers. And I think compared to other retailers, with that, we have been able already to grow 11 quarters in a row, but also improving basically our top line, not only sales and gaining market share, but at the same time, having more gross profit. And that journey was extremely important, because if we would not have done that, we would have been struggling like many other retailers with a lower gross profit, because the competition is fierce. So we make sure that the traffic is basically being used also to sell or to offer to our customers different opportunities. And with that, we do already more than 1/3 of our profit, which we actually really need to create the best experience for our customers.
I don't want to interrupt Doris' interview, but can you explain to our audience space as a service? Maybe I missed this. I am close to retirement. I go to your shops and buy offline. So I'm obviously not your typical customer. I like this, having a sales specialist in front of me who can explain me all the new gadgets and features. But what does space as a service? You make me curious. Sorry for interrupting, Doris.
No, thank you, Stefan. First of all, thank you for buying at us and from us, because that's always very much valued. And you're for sure one of our customers, because what I said before, we actually don't care that much if you start your journey online or you start your journey offline, right? So we are aware where you want to buy, and we have already 57 million loyalty members. That's important for us to understand. But coming back to your question, what is then space as a service? And I think that's really a big, unique selling point for us, but also for our suppliers working with us. So space as a service, I think also is a transition many retailers went through, right? Do we really need these square meters only for products, right? The number of SKUs that we use, so the number of products that we offer to a customer, consumer electronic products, have been reduced massively. So we started, I think, with more than average 15 to 20,000 SKUs in the store. Now our biggest stores have round about 8,000 SKUs. So that is a huge reduction. And why? I said it at the beginning of this podcast, before we want to have the widest assortment in our stores. But due to online and long tail and marketplace, that's not needed anymore. You just need to make sure when the customer comes in that you can still offer it. So if they come in our store, all our employees have a mobile phone, we can order whatever you like and it be shipped directly to your home. So that's all fine. But due to the reduction of square meters, many retailers have also reduced their average selling space. And we have been really critical about this, because we said, why should we not use that space? For example, service as solutions, smart bars, and etc., etc. But also, now I come back to that topic or your question, space as a service. And what do we do there with space as a service? Because that are square meters that we have available. In this space as a service, we create experience electronics. So what we make sure, when you then go to the store, Stefan, and you go there to watch a TV or innovation, what you already mentioned, we basically rent these spaces to our suppliers to show roadshows, to really show how to use an innovative products. The products are getting more and more complex. How, for example, nowadays you have AI on your products, right? In mobile phones. How cool it is that suppliers have the space where the customers shop in our stores, where they can actually explain end to end how AI with products work. You can see it. It's very difficult to do online, but in a store you can feel it, you can touch it. So that's what we call space as a service. And we have also boutiques, right, that we rent out to our suppliers, where you say, hey, dear supplier, show here your full scale of products, but also all your innovations, and make sure that all the people are very well trained to explain that when the customer come in. And we rotate this space as a service a lot, because if Stefan goes, hopefully not only once a month, but maybe 2 times or 3 times a month, we will make sure that every time you see something new. And therefore we have in all stores also this called entrance statement. It's also a space as a service. When you come in, you see something innovative, you see something new. And we, by the way, do that not only with our MediaMarkt suppliers like the Samsung, the Apple, the LGs, where we basically allow them to show the best experience. We do this together. We plan this also together. But we also looking at, we call it non-endemics to non-MediaMarkt suppliers. How nice is it, for example, in the white goods area, that you allow your space as a service for 1 month to a seller of washing powder, and to show, to demonstrate it, or any other product that is related to our main products. There's also something that we look into as well. But that's the space as a service. And it is actually for 2 parts. One part, creating that experience, right, that many retailers did not do, which actually drives people to the store because they want to play around with products, they want to touch them, and they want to see the last innovations. And again, it helps us as well, because we have a lot of customers in our store buying different consumer electronics, different brands, which is very interesting for suppliers or non-endemics to use that customer base to promote their products again. And if you bring that together, that's and profitable and based on customer preference, and creates that experience what you need to drive traffic also to your store formats.
You're calming me down big time. When we bought 6 months ago a new OLED TV, I hope the name is right, I paid much more than I intended to. I overspent my budget, but the young gentleman who explained it to me at the local MediaMarkt was so kind, and we are very happy with that TV set, very happy, and it was, useful to spend a little more. But now I see that there's an academical concept behind it. I thought I was just lucky to run into a specialist showing me this. So thanks for highlighting this and explaining it to an old guy like me.
Thanks for buying an OLED. Hopefully you're gaming a lot, because then you need the speed of an OLED. No, I think we are investing there a lot with suppliers together in that customer journey. And that's, again, I think if there's no reason anymore to get into your car or any public transportation, to take the time and effort to go to one of our stores, and you don't see an experience and you don't get that personal explanation or basically the newest innovation, then you have no room or no place to have stores anymore, right? In this very online driven environment. So that's extremely important for us. And that's why we said as a company, already 2.5 years ago, we said this is one of our strategic pillars. This is the center, because these stores are going to generate traffic experience, but also will facilitate online sales and the other sales channels that I just mentioned, and vice versa. Yeah, absolutely.
And as you said, this falls under your growth areas. I don't know how many you said, 5, 6 you have till now. Do you want to expand in this segment, like in the growth areas? You want to create new ones, or is it the right amount, the 1/3 of your revenue?
No, we have been very clear to the organization, and also in our Capital Market Day pledge, that we said we have 5 growth areas where we still we are doing well. And what I said, we are proud to grow 11 quarters in a row, but there is much more potential in these growth areas. So that means we are not done. We can even do better for our customers. So service and solutions is a growth area where we basically sell, for example, insurance, but we also sell less foiling on mobile phones, really consumer orientated services that the customer doesn't go home. Like Stefan said, I went home. I was not intended to buy it, but when I went home, I was actually very happy that I had my TV, or a customer buying a mobile phone and comes home, but now I need a foil. Nobody offered me that foil. So that's the service and solution area, but where we can still grow a lot in that area, in that growth area, is everything related to refurb, for example, which is very important nowadays, sustainability. But also, for example, if you talk about sustainable products, refurb, and that whole reverse logistics. So we have a lot of opportunity there in service and solution to even also add new services or position us even better based on the customer demand. The other one is marketplace. So marketplace is one of our growth areas. We expect in Europe still between 50 to 55% of the sales in consumer electronics to be online, and a big part of that will go over marketplaces. And at the moment, as you know, we have our own marketplace, and that will grow, but we are just at the beginning. We can actually expand the number of sellers over our marketplace, and also expand there the sales, and making sure that all the long tail related to consumer electronics, we not step away from consumer electronics. We are really the category killer. But there we have also leverage to have retail media. To be totally honest, we are better than we expected in our own budget. Retail media is basically selling sponsored product ads or sponsored brand ads. You have a Samsung or LG or the Longi banner on our site, or position certain products or specifications, but also in the store, where we do in the in-store TV advertisement. We are just at the beginning there. So also there we have more opportunities. And space as a service I just touched. Also there it's highly valued by customers, but also highly valued by our suppliers. I think on the non-endemic, so non-MediaMarkt suppliers, we can do even more. And last but not least, in our private label, we are adding much more products, but also making sure this value is being seen by our customers. So we work with, sorry for my say, the famous chef Tim Rauwe, Robbie Williams, also to make sure that people understand this is not a price entry product, right? Of course, we also offer that when the customers want it, but this private label is actually adding value in the products that I want to buy. So there we have a lot of space. The other topics, of course, that we are looking into right now, because we need to evolve. I already said we went to 3 big transformation. And the other one will be everything related to data, to AI, and how we integrate that not only in our processes, but also making sure that we do much, much more. But we already started on personalization. So today, if you go to a German store, you can already book an appointment to have that personal contact, right? Really this personal contact. If you have your questions, like Stefan, on a OLED TV, we are just at the beginning. We can do much more in the personalization on our app. We can do much more on the personalization journey when we actually really even better understand the data or who that customer is. Doesn't matter where he or she buys. So we have this 57 million loyalty members. We can do much better. We can grow there. We can do more on data. We can more do on AI. And that will be the next leverages that we start working on right now. But for now, we are really on these strategic growth areas, because in these areas there is potential. And we will deliver the services that the customers are expecting, but that will be the new thinking directions. And of course, we in retail, as you know, most likely, and also in consumer retail, in special, we can never stand still. So we need to evolve what the customers are demanding. And sustainability, data, and AI will be the big 3, and maybe a big 4 is coming towards us as well. And we are ready to understand that as well.
Maybe what question comes to my mind here is, what kind of challenges have you experienced on this journey so far? Like, I can imagine this didn't evolve gradually. So maybe you can give us a quick sneak peek on what challenges you face on your daily business here.
No, I think the biggest challenge that you have in these kind of transformations is always your strategy, right? And how do you measure your success of your strategy? I think that it sounds a bit abstract, but that's the most difficult part. And it's not the strategy as such, right? What I said, experience electronics or the growth areas. To define that and to set up KPIs to measure the success of that in the different sales channels, I would almost say any organization is doing that and is able to do that. But in between, I always say you have your resources, right? You have your strategy, resources, and your KPI. And what do I mean with resources? It's your org chart, it's your people, it's your tech landscape, right? So if your people or your organizational structure is not matching your new strategy that you have defined or the KPIs that you are measuring, you're not going to make it. Let me give you a practical example. When we said we want to go for experience electronics and we want to basically be more standardized. So what does that mean for a store, right? A store before was buying their own products, was negotiating with the suppliers, were negotiating deals to have the best total income and also the best product for the customer. Now we said, you should not buy anymore. You should basically not negotiate for the best possible prices anymore. It's about the experience. So your job in the store is to create that experience in the store and to make sure that you have the best advice. That means you are asking for different KPIs, but you're also asking for a different behavior of your leadership teams and everybody working in that retail environment. So as said, everybody can make a change every single day. But if you just say this is the strategy, but you don't explain very well what is expected from them in their new role or how this is being measured and what is maybe also not expected from them anymore, then you start to struggle. And of course, we as MediaMarkt also struggled in that, and not only in the organization, coming from, we called it at that time, decentral to a bit more central. The expectation levels were at the beginning not clear, and you need to go through that transformation. And also the suppliers need to understand it, because before they could negotiate with the bigger store and maybe with the smaller store they did not negotiate or they never visited that store. And now it's central and they need to understand, if you now go to a store, I want you to create experience. I want you to train our people. And I don't want to see you in the back office negotiating an additional purchase amount, because that is just hygiene factor in retail. So it's an educational process where you go through. But I make it now sounds very, very easy. But there have been days that I was driving to work or visiting some of our stores. They say, what are we doing wrong? Why is this message not coming across? This is really a cultural difference. So this is something that we faced for many, many months, many, many years even, to get that through. And the good opportunity is, at the moment, we are on the right track. We have clear strategy. The company is behind it. Last week we had the leadership meeting where our senior management is joining from every 11 of the countries. They are much more transparent. They are looking at benchmarks with each other, and they really believe the strategy that we have, and we see it also in the number, that helps in market share and then also profitability to go through such a journey. But it's not a easy journey to let everybody understand their role in the organization, right? So that is the biggest challenge that I think many retailers are facing, but we also are facing. But therefore, it's also very enjoyable when you go through that challenge and you see the successes, right? So then you have something to celebrate.
Remko, I'm sure our audience would love to hear about the changes in the ownership structure, which have been made public. However, I make it up to you. We already overextended our time budget and appreciate it very much. So if you want to share your first thoughts and impressions of working with the management from JD.com, otherwise we are happy, Doris and myself, if we might to contact you in spring or early summer when you have more experience. It's really up to your time budget now and your resources right now. We don't want to, take too much of your precious time.
No, don't worry. I would love to say something about it, because we are extremely proud about it. That being said, at the moment they are all thinking directions, because we also, or JD is actually waiting also of the authority approval. So we are not on the level at the moment where we say we are already talking in detail about strategic alignment. But of course, Kai, our CEO, and myself as CFO, we need to basically review that cooperation. And if we are, as a board, basically in supporting that decision, right? And we fully support it. And I think it's important to explain why. So we as a company, I said it before, we are extremely proud. We are in a position of strength. So we have 11 quarters of growth in profitability. So from that perspective, we also know that the European market will be consolidating. You see it already happening in consumer electronics, in retail. And where we are investing or a lot at the moment is on the logistics, on the last mile delivery, on automizing our warehouses, for example, in Germany. So on logistics, we are doing well, but we are investing a lot because we see that this is really needed. And same as our tech stack, right? So the moment that we had contact with JD, and JD is really, it's a retailer. They also have stores, they have JD malls, but in the end, it's a tech and logistics company. And we have visited them also a couple of times in China. And then you actually see what they are doing from a logistics last mile delivery proposition. In China, they deliver the same day or the next day for free. And China, as we all know, is not a small country. So they have certain capabilities that would accelerate our existing strategy. So one is on logistics, where they are very, very strong. If you look from that perspective and you look at the synergies that you have, if these two companies have the possibility to work together, which I hope we have, and it looks like we will have that possibility, that will accelerate that strategy in Europe on the strategy that we already believe in. And for JD, it's of course also a good match, because they are starting in Europe with their marketplace, Joybuy. They have MediaMarktSaturn with a brand awareness that is extremely high, but also with 50,000 talented people working for us and a good footprint in 11 countries. So in 9 out of these 11, we are the number 1 or the number 2. So if you combine that, there's a lot of possibility to accelerate on things that we have already decided. And therefore, I said, and of course Kai as well, we said, this is the right match. This will help us making sure that we can even accelerate our strategy with the lovely people that we have, but at the same time also fight in such a very dynamic, consolidating market. So especially on that logistic, digital and tech part, where they can add, let's say, a lot of capabilities. And we can, of course, from our side, help them a bit with understanding Europe and our footprint that we have, right?
Understood. I think this is a good closing word to wrap up the podcast. Indeed. I don't know if Stefan, you want to add something more from your side.
I only want to thank you, Remko. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for your insights. Again, for me personally, I feel much better now. I was not always, I'm the last dinosaur who buys offline, and now I feel much better. You made me 5 years younger. I feel like 85 today, not like 90 on my usual business day. Remko, it was a pleasure, and I mean it. The passion you are expressing about your business, it shows your career. You have learned this by heart. You are living it. This was valuable and highly motivating call for me personally. So I'm sure MediaMarktSaturn Group, Ceconomy are on a very good way. And I can see your arguments for working together with JD.com in a universe that is characterized by competition and constant innovation that customers are also expecting from you. I think that the huge hurdle, and as previously said, it'll be a pleasure if Doris and myself could reach out to you again when you have collected more experience and ask you for the session number 2 in due course, whenever you find a couple of minutes for us. Thank you very much.
I also enjoyed it. We enjoyed it a lot. And yeah, nice to meet you virtually, Doris and Stefan, but it was for me also a pleasure. I liked it very much. Thank you very much. And looking forward to a second round.